right, tech analyst Ashok Kumar of Rodman Renshaw is back with us, and you're looking at the presentation there for the new BlackBerry PlayBook, or I don't know if it'll be even called BlackBerry, but the RIM PlayBook, Research In Motion maker of the BlackBerry, putting out that PlayBook. You saw the words multitasking because, of course, that was one of the main complaints about Apple's iPad when it first came out. It also says flash loving, and I want to ask Ashok, is it important for them to play up these things? I mean, clearly they are doing that, and that was something that made people very angry with the iPad. It still frustrates customers who need to use Flash and realize they can't do it with this device. Are they playing up the weaknesses at Apple here?
Oh, yes. I think, with RIM adhering to what's, considered de facto industry standards, absolutely, they're trying to differentiate some of the advantages of going with the new platform, the PlayBook platform.
John, John, if I could just bring you in here.
Everybody relies on.
What about the price? Do we have any details about how much this thing is going to cost? Because for a lot of people, obviously, that's a very important point.
Well, we haven't seen the details of that yet. You could expect that it would be in the same neighborhood of what iPad is selling for, and it's one of the reasons why the executives at Research In Motion get so excited about this thing. Some analysts have said if this was a product that would hit the market in the fourth quarter, that maybe they could sell 2.5 million of these devices. Now, of course, based on the timing that they're talking about being available in retail outlets in early 2011, maybe analysts have to change their expectations. But don't forget that Research In Motion itself hasn't factored in sales of this product into its current guidance. But a reminder of what Apple's expected to sell this year. In fact, Canaccord today put out some expectations of close to 13.5 million iPods selling this year. Basically, 25.5 million are expected to sell next year. And again, it goes back to something we spoke about earlier, that Apple has this way of grabbing the consumer who then goes to the IT manager at their business and says, hey, I want to use this for business reasons. Now, RIM is expected to focus on this as being for busy working people. So we're not expecting to see ads where there are teenagers throwing around this PlayBook device, but they have to find a way to make their way into the hearts of consumers, because just having all the chief information officers or the IT managers on your team likely won't be enough when Apple is selling those iPads as quickly as they are selling them right now, guys.
Ashok, John brings up a good point. I mean, how important is it that RIM goes after the consumer market as well as the corporate client market with this device?
So it appears, I think you raise a good point, right? It appears the initial version of this device will be a tethered product, so primarily being distributed through the consumer retail channel. The company also would have to offer a follow-on product which has a 3G functionality and will be subsidized by the carriers, so that to increase mindshare and market share. So the net is, the initial low-hanging fruit for the company is to go after the installed base of 50 million subscribers, and over the longer term, expand the opportunity beyond that.
I wonder, Ashok, why they chose this size. I mean, it kind of looks like a PSP, or it's that kind of size, which is the PlayStation, the personal one that the kids have on the subway. I could see for a consumer why you'd want that, but it seems like for work, maybe you'd want something closer to the size of a clipboard, or, something you could really do something with.
No, I think it's a kind of a trade-off between hitting the right price point and having the optimal functionality. So I think you can always push the display sizes to 10, 11, or 12 inches, which is the upper end of this form factor. But then you would also take the price points, elevate it and put it beyond the reach of the mainstream consumers.
Well, what do you think is the ideal price point for RIM to actually gain share with this? Where do you think they have to price it?
I think at the end of the day, it's going to be the applications that differentiate this platform. And Apple's pricing is the yardstick, right? And of course, if you look at Samsung Galaxy, they're offering the product at a subsidized price point of about 20 euros a month, over a 2-year contract. So those would be essentially the broad parameters that RIM would have to adhere to.
John, I wonder, do you feel like from covering this company that they have more up their sleeve? I mean, is it just this, or do we see more tablets? Do we see newer, different kind of BlackBerries? What do you hear?
Well, first of all, on the sizing of this device, remember that if they are going after the business consumer, for now, people are likely not going to get rid of their BlackBerry. So you can target Wall Street firms or government or whatever and say, hey, here's a device. It's pretty small. You can use it with your BlackBerry at the same time. And while we figure out where this world is going, you can fit both of these things in your bag or whatever. Some people right now carrying BlackBerries and iPads. Some people carrying iPhones and iPads. But one thing that's going to be very important, and Ashok was talking about this earlier, is that if they're going with a new operating system, and this is a developers conference, they have to be very clear to developers on where the future is for Research In Motion. Is it going to be with the operating system that this device, this PlayBook tablet, is operating on, or is it with their more traditional BlackBerry phone? And that's important because a lot of people say Apple leads the way when it comes to applications right now. It is very clear, a very clear story. When it comes to Google or Research In Motion, it's not as clear. Developers are tougher to get excited, and they're going to have to be clear about whether this operating system is the one they are going with for sure. But certainly based on all the time it's taken them to come to market, or at least unveil this product, would suggest that they are very ready to go with this operating system going forward, guys.
Hey, Ashok, just got a few seconds here. I mean, RIM shares are having a tough time this year, down about 28%. As we know, Apple shares, they just seem to go up and up and up. Is this yet enough to start turning around the share price of RIM?
Yes, I mean, one is the sentiment around the stock is negative, but with normalized earnings power of about $6, next year, I think the company from a value perspective is attractive, but technology companies are notorious for being value traps. So that being said, if RIM can execute on these product cycles, I think the risk reward is attractive from here.
And just for the record, everybody, Apple hitting another 52-week high today. It's up 38% this year. RIM, though, is down about 28%, Matt.